Tenzin was not your average teenager. He was an orphan boy, hardened by the unforgiving plains of the Mongolian steppe. The desolate fringes of the Mongol Empire had been both his cradle and his crucible, molding him into a figure of stoic resilience. His days were filled with the ceaseless struggle for survival. Every sunrise brought a new challenge, scouring the barren landscape for scarce vegetation, setting traps for elusive game, or mending his weather-beaten yurt against the violent winds. The tasks, as harsh as the lands he inhabited, chiseled his body into a lean form and sharpened his mind with cunning resourcefulness. One crisp morning, his routine was altered irrevocably. He was out hunting, his keen eyes scanning the vast steppe for a sign of game, when a speck on the horizon piqued his interest. As the speck grew bigger, it morphed into the silhouette of a lone rider, advancing steadily across the steppe towards him. The rider, clad in a simple attire that belied his commanding presence, was strangely familiar. Even before the man was close enough for Tenzin to discern his features, an inexplicable thrill shot through his veins. Stories heard from passing bards, tales of a man both feared and revered, flooded Tenzin's mind. The solitary figure, the aura of authority, the barely discernible emblem on his chest, it all pointed towards one person. Could it really be him? The great Khan himself, Genghis Khan, here on the isolated edges of his vast empire. The wheels of fate had started to turn, setting Tenzin on a course he could never have imagined as he found himself face to face with the legendary Genghis Khan. His intense gaze scanned the boy from head to toe before breaking into a warm smile that softened his otherwise stern visage. "I am Genghis Khan," he declared in a tone that was as assertive as it was humble. He had been traveling incognito, blending with the masses on a personal mission, a quest for solitude and introspection. For a moment, Tenzin found himself ensnared in the trap of disbelief. However, the man before him, even without his regalia, exuded an unmistakable aura of power and wisdom that verified his claim. This was indeed the great Khan, the revered leader of the Mongol Empire, standing before him, amidst the isolation of the steppe. Genghis Khan, in turn, studied Tenzin with a contemplative gaze. The robustness of the young boy, his unyielding spirit that had allowed him to endure the relentless hardships of life on the fringe of the empire, was evident. The strength etched in Tenzin's lean frame and the resilience reflected in his eyes resonated with Khan's own understanding of survival and tenacity. "Your strength and will to survive are commendable, Tenzin," Genghis Khan noted, his voice carrying an undercurrent of admiration. "It is the strength of the lone wolf that makes the wolf pack formidable." Before the young boy could respond, Genghis Khan extended an offer that was as unexpected as his arrival. "Would you accompany me, Tenzin?" he asked. "There's much we can learn from each other." Tenzin's heart pounded at the proposition. Travel with Genghis Khan, the great warrior, the revered leader? It was an opportunity he could not refuse. The unexpected encounter had taken a turn that Tenzin could never have envisioned, but one that held the promise of a destiny beyond his imagination. Over the following days, the barren Mongolian steppe transformed into a grand classroom for Tenzin. Each dawn unfurled new lessons on strength and leadership, narrated by none other than the legendary Genghis Khan. The teachings were profound, the experiences transformative, gradually reshaping Tenzin's worldview. Strength. Genghis Khan began one day, his voice carrying over the wind. "It's not just about the might of your arms, but the endurance of your spirit." The Khan took Tenzin through grueling physical exercises, testing his endurance, pushing his limits, and building his resilience. Tenzin learned that the might of a warrior was not simply a product of his physical prowess, but also his ability to endure and persevere. But strength was not only physical. Genghis Khan taught Tenzin that the mind could be an equally potent weapon. He shared stories of his past, battles won not by sheer force, but by strategic thinking and wit. They played chess, a game unfamiliar to Tenzin. The boy quickly understood that it was not just a pastime, but a lesson in strategy and foresight. The game demonstrated that a well-planned strategy could often defeat raw power, emphasizing the importance of mental strength and agility. As the lessons progressed, Tenzin began to grasp the broader aspects of leadership. The great Khan illuminated how one could lead not by instilling fear, but but by inspiring respect and loyalty. He shared his belief in the power of unity, how the strength of the pack lay in each wolf's commitment to the collective cause. Honor, Khan explained, was the bedrock of such unity. A leader had to be just and honorable to earn the undying loyalty of his followers. The lessons were interspersed with shared meals, hunts, and tales around the fire. Tenzin found himself growing not only in knowledge and understanding, but also in confidence. Genghis Khan's wisdom was seeping into his very being, sculpting him into a better, more capable individual. In this unconventional classroom under the vast sky, Tenzin understood the essence of true strength. It wasn't about dominating the weak, but about empowering them. It was the capacity to endure hardships, to strategize, to inspire, and to honor commitments. It was a balance of mind and body, an orchestra of physical strength and intellectual prowess. His journey with the great Khan was proving to be more enlightening than he had ever imagined. One day, the tranquil monotony of the steppe was disrupted by a band of warriors from a rival tribe. Their hostile intentions were as clear as the sharpened tips of their spears. This was the moment where theory would meet practice, where Tenzin would have to prove his mettle. Tenzin observed the scene unfolding before him with a calmness that surprised him. He realized that Genghis Khan's lessons had subtly prepared him for this moment. He was no longer a boy who had only known solitude. He was a student of the great Khan, armed with lessons of strength and strategy. Without losing a beat, Tenzin positioned himself between the Khan and the warriors. He knew they were outnumbered, but he also remembered the lessons on strategy. Strength wasn't only in numbers, but in unity and tactical thinking. "Speak your intentions," Tenzin called out to the rival warriors, his voice echoing across the steppe, a subtle hint at his newly found confidence. The warriors seemed taken aback by the young boy's assertiveness, further fueling Tenzin's resolve. The negotiations were a chess game played out on the vast checkerboard of the steppe. Tenzin employed the strategies he had learned from Genghis Khan, using a blend of assertiveness and diplomacy. His proposal of a hunting contest, a test of skill rather than a violent confrontation, was a gamble. The rival tribe accepted, intrigued by the audacious proposition. When Tenzin returned victorious from the contest, the tension in the air had dissipated. He had not only outsmarted the rivals in the hunting grounds, demonstrating his physical strength, but also used strategic diplomacy to prevent unnecessary violence. His actions showed his understanding of leadership and honor, attributes he had learned from the great Khan himself. Genghis Khan watched from the sidelines, his expression unreadable. As the rival tribe retreated peacefully, he turned to Tenzin. No words were exchanged, but the nod of approval from the great Khan was more than enough. Tenzin had faced his test and emerged victorious, showcasing not just his strength, but his intelligence and resilience. After days of being Genghis Khan's protege, the time had come for Tenzin to return to his humble year on the steppe. He was no longer the same boy who had stumbled upon a solitary rider. His solitude had been transformed into a profound sense of self, his raw survival instincts into honed skills, his curiosity into wisdom. As the silhouette of his yurt emerged over the horizon, Tenzin felt a surge of anticipation. He was returning not as a lone orphan, but as a young man armed with the teachings of the great Khan. The desolate plains were no longer just a landscape of survival, but a land of potential, waiting to be harnessed. Before they parted ways, Genghis Khan left Tenzin with a parting gift, a final lesson. "Life," he said, "is a continuous journey of learning, Tenzin. You have shown great strength and intelligence, but remember, the greatest warriors are those who continue to learn and grow, no matter how much they already know." His words resonated with Tenzin. He now saw his life not as a series of hardships, but as a continuous learning journey. His experiences, good and bad, were lessons shaping him into the person he was destined to be. With a heartfelt farewell, Tenzin watched as Genghis Khan rode away, his figure becoming one with the golden hues of the setting sun. A sense of gratitude washed over him. His encounter with the great Khan had been a turning point, steering his life towards a path he'd never imagined. Tenzin was ready to face life's challenges head-on, embracing the hardships as stepping stones towards his growth. He had learned the true meaning of strength, a blend of physical prowess, mental agility, leadership, and honor. As he gazed into the vast plains, he saw endless possibilities. His journey had just begun.